the National Pine Forge Academy Alumni, which is our official page, but we also have something called the Pine Forge Academy Alumni, which is over 1,400 members on that group. So if you have a Facebook page, you can just like Pine Forge Academy Alumni. On Instagram, it's PFA Alumni. So students, follow us on PFA Alumni. Alumni, follow us on PFA Alumni on Instagram, and Pine Forge Academy Alumni on Facebook. We haven't been able to monitor Snapchat quite yet.
Thank you. Now, with being said and getting right on with the program, please let us know who is the first recipient and what award is it for?
This evening, we are going to start with our Meritorious Award, and this is to Joseph Simpson.
Joseph Edward Simpson. The son of a foundry worker and home cleaner, Joe was born July 3, 1951, in Indianapolis, Indiana, the fifth of 7 children. They were raised in a strong Seventh-day Adventist home. Family is monumentally important to Joe. A single dad, he raised 4 beautiful daughters. He lost another in childbirth. These days, Joe spends most of his time with his roadies, 2 bright and dynamic grandchildren who also live with Joe. Joseph Simpson is a member of Pine Forge Academy's class of 1969. Classmates say that Joe was a main force on PFA's farm. Director Harry Dobbins allowed Joe to drive every truck and tractor on the farm, and Joe delivered many types of farm produce all over the Delaware Valley. He was a choir member, usher for the Pine Forge Academy Church, monitor in the men's dorm, member of the USM, class officer, and one of the most influential and greatest Falcon centers of all time for Coach Paul Jones. He led out in everything he did, and that's why he became such an outstanding leader in his community, state, and the city of Indianapolis. What makes him so special is that God is first in his life, and Joe gives him all the credit, as he should. Joe's volunteer career is exemplary. His board chairmanships are too numerous to name, but include the American Red Cross of Greater Indianapolis, the Washington Township Board, the Indianapolis City Council Admin and Finance Committee, Capital City's Seventh-day Adventist School. In addition to those top leadership roles, Joe has served as treasurer for many other organizations, such as the Indianapolis NAACP, the YMCA, Credit Union, and others, many others. You get the picture. Joe is a Vietnam veteran who, as a medic, was able to stay true to his Seventh-day Adventist teachings while serving his country. Joe's political life continues to this day. Most recently, he has been serving as the City County Councilman in the city of Indianapolis for the past 8 years. Most of Joe's professional career was spent as the Director of Administration at a legal aid program for 42 years. We are proud to award Joseph Simpson the 2019 Meritorious Award from the National Pine Forge Academy Alumni Association.
God is good all the time. I would like my fellow consultants that help me. This is something that all you from Pine Forge, we're going to give you a little education about Pine Forge in 1969 and how this all came about for me. So Larry Holland, Freddie Murphy, Paul Smith, Kenneth Jones. These folks at least the young gentlemen and maybe the women, down in Jefferson Hall. There was a notorious floor and room called Room 1 and Room 2. And that's where it started with us. We were under serious supervision at that time back in Pine Forge. So anytime you're living across from the dean, you know what's happening. You know, and the dean decided to put us all there. Come on up, gentlemen, come on up. I want y'all to come on up. 2 minutes, come on. So, since I have 2 minutes, these are what I call my eternal Pine Forge friends. What you need to understand is Pine Forge friends are for life. You never give up on them. So everything I've done in my life, I called each one of these gentlemen up in my time in the storm, no matter what it was, whether it was a board meeting or something that going on the city county council. Each one of these gentlemen gave me advice just like they were at Pine Forge. This gentleman right here, Garthel Wade. He was one of us. He died, but he's never forgotten, and he's like a brother to me. They call him G. Wade. He had a brother called R and B. You know how they nickname you up here. Once they give you a name, you stuck with it. So all of them had the first letter name. So what I'm here to tell you right now, for everybody real seriously, Pine Forge was great. I went into service, and the first sergeant said to me, he said, "You've been somewhere before, Mr. Simpson. This stuff don't faze you, all this drilling stuff." I said, "Man, I've been in a place much worse than this." Yes, if you live in Jefferson, anybody in here live in Jefferson Hall? Raise your hand if you live in Jefferson Hall. There's a few of them. Jefferson Hall, for you living in the new dormitory, feel blessed and treat that place like what it is. Because in Jefferson Hall, it caught on fire, and they wouldn't even let us go to a hotel. We had to go back in there and go back in there. I mean, it was what it is. But I just want to say to everybody here, I want to truly, truly thank you for this award. I'm honored and privileged, but it's a blessing to come before the kids that are here right now to understand that Pine Forge, you're looking at Pine Forge past and the future right now. We made it, so you can look at us. You may feel like you can't make it during the day, but that's part of Jesus helping you out. And thank you very much. Thank you.
So we have a good problem this evening. There is a lot of people that are outside that want to be inside. And so they've just asked us, can you move in toward the center if there's space? If there's not, then there's not. But if you have space, raise your hand. So we'll do that first. If you have space next to you, raise your hand. The second thing we'll do is, if there's room in the choir loft, there is room in the choir loft, we can open that up as well. All right.
Thank you, Joe. We're going to move on to our next award. Who is our next recipient, Dr. Holder?
Our next award is for community service, and this goes to Dr. Holly Fisher Hickman.
public history, secondary and post-secondary education in the African American community. She holds a Bachelor's of Arts degree in history and a Master's of Arts degree in public history with a concentration in African American history, community studies, and oral history from Howard University. She also holds a Doctor of Philosophy degree in leadership and education administration from Capella University. She is also a proud member of Pine Forge Academy's class of 1989.
She's always engaged in everything. If you look through the yearbook, you will see her sitting with all groups, doing all things. And then, of course, I was very impressed when she came back, and I was able to teach alongside of her. She is very inspiring. So glad to have her. Glad to know her.
Understanding her calling and ministry as it pertains to non-traditional and formerly incarcerated male students, she and her husband, Sean Hickman Sr., established a nonprofit organization, Learning Healing Institute, Incorporated, LHI, with the motto, Learning to be Successful, Healing the Past. LHI is designed to serve as an alternative residential educational facility for male youth ages 13 to 17 years of age and those about to age out of foster care. The Hickmans have also written a book, An Awakening to Purpose, A Passion Unveiled. Currently, Dr. Fisher Hickman is a faith entrepreneur, actively pursuing innovative, creative, and sustaining partnerships and collaborations to build awareness and capacity for the nonprofit organization LHI, its for-profit arm organization LHI Enterprises LLC, and one other for-profit company, Recharge and Rebuild LLC, a business venture with former Pine Forge Academy students. Dr. Fisher Hickman has served in the federal government and the National Park Service as a community outreach specialist and special initiatives park ranger, as well as an educator in the District of Columbia and Prince George's County Public School System. Dr. Fisher has taken time to return to Pine Forge Academy, where she served as the chairperson of the History Department. We are pleased to award Dr. Holly Fisher the Community Service
Good evening, everyone. I must say, I told one friend, I said, I need you to be there because nobody's going to be there for me because I didn't have my family. But I want to show you how good God is to me. I have my family. I have my family. I have my family. So I must tell you this. LHI was born not just because of my husband and myself. It was also a paradigm of Pine Forge Academy. We do have friends and families that had to leave home because they were in trouble and had to come here. We don't want to say it, but we have friends and family that came here. So God, I want you guys to understand this. Everything in your life God puts in place for you to do something with. So LHI was born when I was 9 and I saw a neighborhood guy called College Boy. LHI was born when I came here and met some friends from Chicago and New York and wherever. LHI was born when I met my husband. LHI was born when I lost my son. So I want to tell you, God uses everything. Cherish the moments that you're here. Cherish the moments that you're here. Cherish the people who are here with you, who are here to teach, mentor, and nurture. But most of all, you cherish the one that gives you the gifts and the talents. If you want to have any more information about LHI, Learning Healing Institute Incorporated, please look us up, www.learninghealing.org. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Doctor. I'm so proud of our recipients. They've been so good, so wonderful, and even excellent with the time and giving all that power and energy in that short amount of time. We're going to go ahead and go to our next award recipient.
And actually, there are 3 awardees, and I am going to call up Eldridge Edgecombe for this one. So and while he's coming up, many of you know the work that is being done. If you took an opportunity to go down to the North Hall, did anybody go and see the work that was done down there? So I didn't hear enough resounding hand claps, so that means that not enough of you went down there. So it's always important. Someone told me the other day, I believe it was Friday, that I'm a visionary, but I'm visual. I'm a visionary, but I'm visual. People want to see things done. Amen? And so something has been done. And so take the time to go down to North Hall to see where money is going. And so to let everyone know what Eldridge is going to talk about, North Hall was done by a gift from one individual of $50,000, and they pointed out that they wanted to renovate North Hall. But of course, North Hall needed much, much more than $50,000, yes? It needed much more than that. And so a couple of us went to Maranatha over a year ago, and we got a chance to experience the work that they do. And they came on campus, and they realized through looking at multiple buildings that North Hall was the one they really felt that they wanted to do. And so through the volunteer organization of Maranatha, in a company or plus the $50,000, then we raised another 10 and some thousands and some hundreds and some 50s came in, and the work was able to be done. Well, that work is not just done, right? It doesn't just appear. There were volunteers. So if you're in the audience and if you volunteered, I'm going to ask that you stand. Anybody that volunteered on the North Hall project. We love you and we thank you. We love you and we thank you. The work that you did is beautiful and it's lasting. And so with that said, there are 3 special people out of the many that did the work that I want Eldridge to talk about and share more about.
Thank you, Saccone, and good evening to all of you. As Saccone has said, on July 9th, Maranatha Volunteers International came to campus, and they brought with them between 20 and 25 volunteers. They weren't all here at the same time, but that was the number in total approximately. And for 2 weeks, they labored to change the appearance of North Hall. Any of you who've been in the building over the last 30 years, right? Because the last time any renovation work was done was in the early 90s, okay? So since then, nothing has been done, okay? If you took the time to go through the building today, you'll see there's a stark difference between yesterday and today, okay? So, the first recognition today goes to Maranatha Volunteers International. Representing them is one special gentleman, Gary Bain. So Gary lives less than an hour from here, thereabouts. And Gary told me when I invited him to come and participate in this award ceremony, he said, I don't want any recognition and so forth. And he just said it again, right? So I said to him, no, you're coming for Maranatha. But in truth, I've misled him. Yes, he's coming from Maranatha because he was one of the volunteers. But when the Maranatha volunteers left, Gary stayed. Okay? Gary stayed. And not only did he stay, but we had to, if you saw the tile floor in the first floor bathroom, that was the work of Gary. Gary, and he told me, I'm not really a tile expert, but my brother-in-law is. And so the next day, he and his brother-in-law laid the tile on the floor, okay? Gary stayed 2 more days and some more days. My point is, yes, Gary came with Maranatha, and he did a marvelous work on our behalf. But Gary was special, and so because of that, we give Gary this recognition for his service to us.
What happened, I couldn't find my way home. So that's the reason I stayed.
I don't know if you heard what he said. He said, what happened is that he couldn't find his way home, so he stayed. Well, if that is his rationale, then no one show him his way home tonight. We'll keep him there. Thank you, Gary. So when Maranatha left, we decided that, actually before they left, because we recognized as the work was progressing that we weren't going to finish everything we had hoped to finish. And so with the recommendation of our architect, we engaged a local contractor to come in and finish the rest of the work, and he submitted to us a proposal for his services. We said yes to that. Not that we had the money to do this, but we said yes to this. So, as you know, God always has surprises and blessings for us. And several of the volunteers, while the work was going on, said, you need to get person A. You need to get person A to come and help. Person A never showed up while the Maranatha volunteers were in town. But the day after they were gone, or a couple of days after they were gone, I got a phone call. And I answered the phone. He said, Eldridge? I said, yes. This is Ernie. Say, Ernie, what's going on? I just wanted to tell you that I put up the ceiling on the second floor. I said, by yourself? How do you put the ceiling up by yourself? Because you have to hold the ceiling up and put it in place, nail it in place. He said, oh, I have a ceiling lifter. And I brought that. That's how I did it. What else do you want me to do? So I said, Ernie, there are lots of options here today. There are lots of options. And so Ernie said, well, okay, tell you what, I'll lay the rest of the flooring, which was probably 80% of the rest of the flooring, had to be done on the second floor. So all the flooring that those of you who took the time to go through saw on the second floor, 80% of it was completed by Ernie Norwood. Where is he? Come on, boy. So, what I didn't tell you, and I haven't told this to Ernie, so he's hearing this for the first time. So I told you the contractor had given us a proposal for his services. The day before the contractor arrived, I said to him, I have to change the scope of work for you. He said, oh, okay, how? I said, well, the ceiling drywall is now in place. In addition, we have someone that will do all of the flooring. said, oh, okay. I have to give you a new proposal. I said, fine. He came, brought a new proposal, and it was approximately $7,000 less than the first proposal. All of that because of Ernie Norwood's willingness to do the work. And so, in honor of Ernie's selflessness, his willing to support the Academy, not with his money, but with his time, which, as you know, is often far more valuable than money, and his expertise, we say thank you.
I'm a man of few words. But after working indirectly for Pine Forge over 40-some years, I've seen a lot, I've done a lot, but a lot of people didn't know what my expertise was. I'm a carpenter by trade, and I go everywhere. Bless everybody.
So there is one more person that we will recognize this evening. Tell me again how many went into North Hall? All right, those of you who were there, did you like how it was furnished and decorated? Well, that was because of the efforts and contributions of one individual. This person would call me and say, Eldridge, I'm over here. Next day, Eldridge, I'm over here. Next day, Eldridge, I'm over there. The entire time looking for furnishings that would make the building look nice. Any of you in real estate business know that staging might be half the game after the work is done. You want to sell that property, you have to stage it properly. So she was about the business of staging North Hall, not for sale, but for you, and for you, and for you. So that when you arrived on Alumni weekend, you would find a building that not only had been rehabilitated, but that was pleasing to the eye. So tonight, we want to give recognition to the person responsible for that staging, and that would be Emily Doggett. So, Emily, because of your dedication, your commitment, your sacrifice for Pine Forge Academy, we say thank you.
It was indeed my privilege. I am not a Pine Forge alum, though I wanted to be. My parents, my dad in particular, thought it was a little too far. My children are alum, and so I have loved this school long before I came to the area and even from Oakwood. So I thank you for the privilege to add to the experience, and I want to challenge each of you, particularly the students that will immediately enjoy it, but let's keep it. And part of it is taking ownership. So when you see something on the floor, pick it up. please don't write on the poles over there. And please just love it and take care of it. And taking ownership doesn't just apply to Pine Forge, it applies to life. And you will have if you take ownership. So thank you for the privilege. Thank you.
So while Eldridge is returning to his seat, I can't say enough about him because number one, he's a philanthropist. Number two, he is the business manager, so he has given up his time. So he's the business manager, and if you're a parent here, he's the collection agent, he's the accountant. Some parents are laughing. He's the accountant, and now he's the project manager of North Hall. So let's give it up for Eldridge. Thank you, Eldridge. Thank you. Thank you. We can't say enough about you. Thank you. And so now I'm going to turn it back over to Sean Smith.
We have 3 more awards for the first half of the program. Dr. Holder, can you let us know who is the Alumna of the Year Award for 2019?
Our Alumna of the Year is Vivian English Washington.
Vivian English Washington is the 2019 National Pine Forge Alumni Association's Alumna of the Year. Vivian is an innovative educator with teaching, laboratory, and administration experiences that have helped her make science and learning fun for students under her care. Originally from Tucson, Arizona, Vivian is a member of the Tohono O'odham Nation with a family legacy at the nearby Native American reservation in Sells, Arizona. Through God's provision, Vivian was encouraged and supported by her foster mother, Carol Smith Thomas, and local church members to attend Pine Forge Academy, prompting the beginning of her lifelong pursuit of excellence. Vivian is now a proud alumna of Pine Forge Academy in Pine Forge, Pennsylvania, and is a member of the class of 1979. She's also an alumna of Oakwood College, now Oakwood University. Graduating with a Bachelor of Science, majoring in biology with a minor in chemistry. After her first job at a residential social service agency outside of Boston, Massachusetts, Vivian began a teaching career, which is marked by passion and dedication. She has served the Northeastern Academy, Queen Anne School, and the Landon School, to name a few. She has been Science Department Chair and Dean of Students at the Queen Anne School, and the facilitator for the National Association of Independent Schools People of Color Conferences, helping student leaders to develop, understand, and embrace the critical resources of diversity and inclusion as tools for success in leadership.
We invite Ms. Vivian English to come forward. We also want to invite her foster peers to come forward as well. If Ms. Thomas can come forward, come on.
From Oakwood.
Good evening, everyone. I am honored and I am humbled by this. The people that you see coming up here have played an important part in my life. God took my mother at 8, or allowed my mother to be taken at 8, my father at 14, and my brothers and I went into foster care. But God allows things to happen and He gives you something else. but we didn't understand it at the time. So I had 2 sets of foster parents, but it was the second set of foster parents that gave me Pine Forge. And so Carol is a graduate of Pine Forge, and she is the class of 1959. So she is here this weekend to celebrate 60 years, and I am here this weekend to celebrate 40. My journey at Pine Forge was 2.5 years, but it was unbelievable. I learned so much here, and it was here that I got the love of science from Verna Hill. God gave me, Carol went to court to fight for me to come here and won. So my ward of state was transferred from the state of Arizona, Tucson, Arizona, to the state of Pennsylvania. I did not know all of this, and so the state of Pennsylvania was paying for me to attend Pine Forge. But don't you know, I worked every day for 4 hours in Little Lake Industry in toe steel boots to pay my way through Pine Forge Academy for 2.5 years. And God gave me the dad here was Aldwin Humphrey, and did he look out for me? Put me on the straight and narrow, and then the mom was Ruth Mosby Green. So God gives you, young people, God gives you somebody. He may allow certain trials and tribulations, but he gives you something to support. And then I went to Oakwood, and he gave me another set of parents. He gave me Bruce and Sheila Wells, and they have been with me from then on. But while I was here, he gave me the Lewis family also, and that was my off-campus family. So I'm here to say, I love Pine Forge. My husband says, I bleed green and white. Well, guess what? I bleed green and white too. I may not be a lifer, but I feel like I did 4 years. And so I just want to say that I am humbled and I am honored to receive this. And it took me a moment, but I now truly understand that God was guiding my path. And I made a promise a long time ago to God that no matter what happened, I may not understand it, even in these years in my life, but I am never leaving God's side, never, because he has done too much for this little girl who came from the projects in Tucson, Arizona. So I thank everyone here. This is my aunt by marriage, but you would never know that because this woman has nursed me and taken care of me, and I love her dearly. So all of these people, and there are so many people, amazing people God put in my life. And so young people, I said to them yesterday at the career fair, you're going to detour off your path, but never, ever. And I never forget from whence you've come. And so I love this school, and while I don't make a whole lot of money, I give whatever I can, but I also give in other ways of my time and trying to encourage these young people to be successful. I said to them yesterday, you have an amazing network here at Pine Forge. Reach out to the alumni that are going to be here and ask them, walk up to them, self-advocate and ask them, what do you do? Do you have an internship? Ask them so that they will know you are interested. We have to help our young people. I teach at an affluent white school in Bethesda, Maryland. They have everything you could ever want at that school. But our boys of color do not self-advocate at that school. And we have to teach our young boys of color and girls of color to self-advocate. So Pine Forge students, you are in the best place, as I said to some of you yesterday. God knows the beginning from the end. When you were a seed, one cell in your mother's womb, God knew where you would be today. So use him, ask him, and continue to pray. Thank you so much, Alumni Association.
You want me to do it now? Where's my husband? While they're gathering around to take pictures, I just need you all to know that we have some special medals for both Carol E. Smith Thomas and Charles Thomas for their dedication to Pine Forge. I don't know if you all were, did you all pay attention to that story? Let me tell you all, I had the privilege of, I had to call all the people who were nominated, and the stories I heard, so this story here, God is just so good. Anyway, we are going to give you all these awards, these medals, and I also want to say that our video was cut short. So I encourage you, if you all have a program, open up your program and read the rest of her bio, because all the other things, the 5K race for the Forge and all the time spent here at Pine Forge and sending your own child here, you need to hear about these things, not just to honor her, because we think you're wonderful and you should be honored, but so you can be inspired, all right? So that we can continue to make this place what it needs to be, in God's name.
I'm sorry, I just have to say one more thing. I have to tell you all, I'm sure you think that you have an amazing husband, but God gave me an even more amazing husband. And so I want to say that I love you. I thank you for your support and all that you've been in our years of marriage, and I love you.
The Bible says we overcome by the blood of the Lamb and by the word of their testimony. Have you been inspired by the testimonies today? Amen. So I'm just going to ask that the married couple, it's important that we as young people see beautiful love. So come on back, Miss Vivian, give your husband a kiss just one more time. This is how it should be. Yes. Yes. Praise the Lord.
Just turning. And finally, these flowers are from your aunts who graduated from Pine Forge who were not able to be here today. Okay, we have to move very quickly.
Vivian. I don't need to reiterate anything that Vivian has said. I just want to thank Pine Forge for taking care of her. That's all I want to say, is thank you. I did something that I felt in my heart I had to do, and I sent her here. She had never seen snow or anything like that. And all I'm saying is, she is the 9th person of the Smith family that attended Pine Forge. And so, Vivian, all your aunts said, here, come on. Give it to her. Okay. But I want everybody to see it. Okay, well, I'm going to leave now.
We're going to sit here We'll leave it there.
Thank you so very much. Thank you. Doesn't being around family make you a little warm and fuzzy inside? Amen. Amen. We're going to now recognize our Alumnus of the Year. But that class of 89, man. We should all pray for that class. Dr. Hula, who is the Alumnus of the Year?
Our Alumnus of the Year is Joseph C. McKenzie.
C. McKenzie practices law primarily in the areas of criminal defense, traffic defense, immigration, and landlord and tenant litigation. Mr. McKenzie represents clients facing serious and complex criminal and traffic-related matters. He is licensed to practice in Maryland and is an active member of the Maryland Criminal Defense Attorneys Association, the Montgomery County Bar Association, and the Maryland State Bar Association. Mr. McKenzie is a guest lecturer at local colleges and universities, where he mentors law students on selecting the area of legal practice that is best suited for their particular skills. He also teaches students, as well as other attorneys, how to successfully start their own law firm. Mr. McKenzie is also a motivational speaker. His speeches primarily focus on social issues faced by teenagers and college students.
All right, I got to say something really nice about Joe McKenzie, man. Joe, I can't believe it's been 30 years, man. It's been 30 years, and you're still older than me. So guys, look, here's the one thing you got to know about Joe McKenzie. Joe McKenzie, this guy has connections with every PFA class that ever was. For some reason, he's got, the folks that graduated in the 60s, the 70s, the 90s. Every year, Joe has so many people come to his house. I just can't keep up with Joe. Like, he gets everybody to his house. He exemplifies love for PFA and everybody that's ever gone to the school. Joe, man, I'm so blessed and honored to be your friend. I'm so blessed and honored that we have spent so many times together, man. I'm blessed and honored that tonight they're honoring you, my man, Joe.
All right, Joe McKenzie was just a wonderful student. I remember all the things that he had done. He had an entrepreneurial sense, selling things and starting business, and that's how I think he's gotten to where he is right now. So I just think that he was a good student.
Mr. McKenzie is a member of the Pine Forge Academy class of 1989. He earned a Bachelor of Science degree in psychology at Oakwood University and then went on to obtain a Doctor of Jurisprudence degree from the University of Baltimore School of Law. While Mr. McKenzie has demonstrated himself to be a proven trial lawyer, he has begun to do catering, pop-up restaurants, and cooking shows as a second career. Joseph C. McKenzie is a dedicated member of the Pine Forge Academy family, volunteering his time, efforts, and expertise through mentorship and advocacy. Joseph McKenzie is our 2019 National Pine Forge Academy Alumni Association Alumnus of the Year.
Thank you so much. I just want to say one thing. One of our classmates is not here. He died. We did not acknowledge him. I just want to say, Craig Wilson, we wish you were here. And I don't know if we'll ever see him again, but if we do, I hope to see him again. He was a great classmate and a loved one from all of us. So I just want to say that. I never thought I was going to amount to anything. I've been nothing but trouble my entire life. I have gotten kicked out of every Seventh-day Adventist institution I've ever gone to, except Pine Forge. When I was in grade school, I was a class clown, and I got kicked out. When I was at Oakwood, I ran a nightclub, so they kicked me out. I got a job working at the Columbia Union Conference, and because I had a child out of wedlock, they fired me. I got a job working at the General Conference, and because I was too outspoken about their racism, they fired me. Pine Forge is the only place that never kicked me out, and they've embraced me. But it didn't start there. I've been kicked out of a lot. Nobody knows this. Some people know part of my story, but none of my classmates know this. When I was born, I was given up for adoption. I was put in foster care first. How many of you all have seen the play Hamilton? How many of you saw the part where Eliza Hamilton, his wife, she started an orphanage? It is the oldest orphanage in the United States. It was opened up in 1806. Her husband, Alexander Hamilton, who came from the Caribbean, came to the United States, and he was an orphan. When he died, she opened up an orphanage called the New York State Orphan Asylum Society. It is the oldest orphanage in the country, I believe in the world, and it's now called Graham Windham. I was put there, and I was in foster care for 4 years, and I was finally adopted. When I was adopted, I was in a very abusive home, and one of my escapes was leaving there, going to Philadelphia, where I was in foster care for a while, and then I transferred to Pine Forge. Pine Forge was the greatest place ever. When I came here, I was scared to let anybody know that, because when you come to Pine Forge, you have to have a certain last name, you have to come from a certain elite, and I came from none of that. My problems are not only in the Seventh-day Adventist area. When it was time for me to graduate from law school and find a job, one of the most prestigious jobs you can get is to be a law clerk and clerk for a judge. When I went into the interview, I couldn't talk about, to get a law clerk in Maryland, Montgomery County, Maryland, one of the richest counties in the United States, they only hire white people from Ivy League schools. So I was competing against those people. I couldn't talk about the law school that I graduated because I almost got into a fight with my professor there because he was a racist professor. Every course he would talk about black people negatively, and I got up one day and I went after him. I did not put my hands on him. I couldn't tell them about my Oakwood experience because I got kicked out of Oakwood. So I had to figure out, what am I going to talk to these judges when I go in, and you have to interview with several of them. And I said, the only thing I can talk about that is meaningful is Pine Forge. And when I got finished describing to them what Pine Forge was, the environment, the people, the elite people that they put out, the accomplishments of what people have done from Pine Forge, they were blown away. One judge, I talked about Pine Forge I uplifted it so much, and I wasn't exaggerating, I was being accurate. One judge thought it was an all-white school, and he said, well, how did you feel being a black guy going to that school? I had to tell him, no, that was an all-black school for blacks who couldn't get into white schools. And he was blown away. That is the only way I was able to get a law clerk, because of Pine Forge. When I finished my law clerkship, I couldn't work for anybody because I don't work well under people. I'm a troublemaker. But because I worked for one of the most prestigious judges in the county, I was immediately able to put up my own shingle, and people came. And it's been a source. It's been a wonderful experience. My job, I have found out that the only way I can continue living properly is to be in service of others. I love serving others. That's all I like to do. Over the 16 years that I've been practicing, every time I see somebody from Pine Forge in court, because some of y'all think that if y'all go to court and bring Jesus with you, you're going to get over. It's not how it works in the court system. I've been able to pick them up, take them in front of the judge, and get their cases dismissed. Every time I've found somebody from Pine Forge, case dropped. I just kick into extra gear. But the thing I like about the job that I do, some people like to go into court and get into heavy trials and stuff. One of the things that I have a talent for is sentencing. I love sentencing because that's where I'm the greatest. I can help people the most. And I've been able to, oh, I'm sorry. I'm sorry, do I need, I'm sorry. It's okay? Okay, I'll hurry up. The criminal justice system is extremely against us and people that look like us, but there's still compassion. I've been able to pull people out of long sentences, pull people away from spending the rest of their lives going down a hole because of my ability to impress upon judges, you need to give this person a second chance. Real quick, can I ask Tyler to come forward? Is Tyler here? Can I ask you to come forward? This is Tyler. Tyler, what's your last name?
Tyler Edgar.
Okay, what do you want to do for a living when you grow up?
I want to become a defense attorney.
I love it. He raised his hand when Dennis asked, who wants to be a lawyer? He raised his hand.
Yes.
Do you have any doubt that you coming from here, any doubt that you can become a lawyer?
No, sir.
You can be one. And do you know Pine Forge puts out judges? Do you know that we have a judge in here today that went to Pine Forge? Can your Honor stand up? Where is he? Honor Kevin Harrell? There he is. If you have any doubt that Pine Forge can't produce good people who come from nothing or who may come from something, I'm not supposed to be a lawyer. I was trying to be a chef and a comedian, and it turned out that I was a lawyer, and I helped so many people. Judge Harrell, when I found out he was a judge, he used to be my RA. He was tough. And so I can only imagine how a defense attorney does in his courtroom. He's probably tough. But I hope you go on to become a lawyer and even go do bigger things and greater things. Because you want to be a lawyer, I want to give back, and I want to dedicate this award to you. And I want you. Where are you from?
I'm from Connecticut.
Okay. If you ever go to the Washington, D.C. area, and if you ever visit, if you ever want to shadow or do an internship, you're talking about doing an internship. If you ever want to do an internship, you come to my office. If you ever want to stay in the D.C. area, I'll get you set up, okay? Thank you.
Anybody crying? Anybody crying? Come get your picture taken. Come take your picture taken with Tyler. Tyler, come get your. That was Jamaican Joe. Jamaican Joe. Thank you, Jamaican Joe. Real quickly, I know the president's rushing me, but didn't I say we're going to be among family this evening? Right? We're going to take our time and spend time with family. We only get together, 5 times every 5 years or 25 years. So, are you guys having a good time? Are you being blessed? A lot of times, as Joe was being kicked out of these different places, we understand that in our religion, let's just be honest, we want family, a lot of times we lose focus on what God has really called us to do. We come to church, go to Sabbath. Those things are important. But true religion, as we sang about this morning, true religion is service. Service to your church, service to your school, service to your community. Right? So when they hear, so everyone can hear and know the name of Pine Forge Academy, and the individuals that we've represented tonight have embodied that emblem of service this evening, and I want to give them a round of applause again. As my president comes up, the next award that we're going to give is the President's Award, so it's only fitting that the president announce who the recipient is.
So as we move through the program, the President's Award is a special award that is chosen by myself. And someone called me and told me about an individual that had done some amazing things for the Academy. Amazing things for the Academy. And so the Paul R. Jones Center was, we were raising money for the Paul R. Jones Center, and this individual, we had a match from a gentleman that has since passed, Lindfest in Philadelphia, and we wanted to raise money to match the dollars that he was giving, so it'd be dollar for dollar. And so this individual gave $25,000, and it wasn't like she just wrote a check. She gave it monthly, every month for 13 months until she got to $25,000. What a commitment. But it doesn't stop there. She has gone a step further. So there is one child that is at Pine Forge in need, and she gives, am I right, $500 a month, $550 a month, every single month. And then that's not enough. She gives $250 for another student. So every month she sends a check to the business office for $750 for 2 children to be at Pine Forge Academy. When you tell me that one person can't make a difference, I want to mention Yvette Peters, who's the President's Award recipient. So the video is going to play first, and then we're going to ask her to come up. Thank you. So let's give Yvette Peterson a hand, and let's call her up. She is from the class of 1969. They are celebrating their 50th year. So we want to thank you so much, Yvette, for all that you have done.
like to thank the Alumni Association for this award, and I want to thank God for instilling in me a spirit of willingness. Eldridge mentioned that word earlier. Being willing doesn't mean that you're wealthy or even that your resources are unlimited, but it simply means that you're willing to allow God to take what you're willing to do and to expand it. In Pittsburgh in 1946, there were two families with almost 13 children between them, William and Ida Anderson, and Jacob and Alberta Peterson. They were willing, with 13 children between them, to give Pine Forge a chance, not knowing how they were going to do it, but they were willing. See, because when you're willing, man's math says when you give, you have less. But God has this funny math that says when you give, somehow it keeps increasing. And so I would challenge you today to be like the Anderson family and be like the Peterson family, because without their willingness, you wouldn't have a Marguerite Anderson Dixon or a Ronald Anderson or a William Anderson or a Lois or an Ernest or an Ida or I mentioned Ronald. But all of them came because of their parents' willingness, because on paper it seemed impossible. So simply be willing, because the song says little becomes much when you place it in the Master's hand. Thank you.
As the choir makes its way to sing, it's an interesting concept that little becomes much when you place it in the Master's hands. We're talking about all these great things that Pine Forge graduates and Pine Forge alumni have done. And have you guys really understood how little Pine Forge is? I mean, I took my mother to the post office the other day, and Pine Forge does have a post office, surprisingly. The post office is only open from 12:30 to 4:30. This is a little city. In fact, I know a lot of times when we're growing up, people talk about how a small town, whatever, village, people talk about how small places they live, and they always say, oh, my town is so small, we only have one flashlight. Do you realize, or one stoplight? Pine Forge has no stoplights. And I'm sure when you guys were coming to Pine Forge this weekend, were you talking to your barber or hairstylist or your co-worker and trying to explain to them where you were going? Did you say, yes, I'm going to Pine Forge? Or you kind of said, I'm going to some place close to Pottstown or 35 minutes outside of Philadelphia? Because nobody has ever heard of this place. I was asking my parents, how did you hear of Pine Forge to go to Pine Forge? How did you hear of Pine Forge to send me to Pine Forge? That's just an example how a little becomes so much when you place it in the Master's hands.
So I want to call up a class. While they finish getting ready, I want to call up the class of 1983 who has a short presentation to make to the association.
Is it short?
Yes. Yeah.
I have the privilege of standing up here on behalf of my class, 1983. Some of you know many of my classmates. What I want to say actually is about the proud classes that I see. I love to see the sweaters and the pins and the watches, and every class stands up and talks about how wonderful their class is, illustrious, inimitable, all these words, these adjectives to describe their class, the best class ever. And then somebody told me to take a look at the alumni giving page. And that messed me up. I'm gonna be honest with you guys. It messed me up because they have a bar graph on there that shows, some of you know, right? Raise your hand if you've seen the bar graph. Yeah, that messed y'all up too, didn't it? Because then the whole definition of proud and illustrious and all of these wonderful adjectives just didn't add up for me. It just didn't. I'm keeping it real in 2019. So I saw that and I said, you know, First of all, the class of 1965 is on there, and I need y'all to adopt me. I was born in 65. Is that entry? Because they're like far and away giving like no other class, as if there's only one class that graduated from Pine Forge Academy. And to me, it seems like they're the only class that loves Pine Forge Academy. The math just adds up. It's not me. So I took it upon myself to go to my class and put out a clarion call and say, hey, look, we got the sweaters and the this and the that, but we're not giving nothing back. We take the selfies and the this, all of that. We got to do better, right? We should be able to do better. Now, the class of 2009, you guys are 10 years out. We give you guys a 10-year head start because you guys got to deal with Sallie Mae and Fannie Mae and all that. Deal with that first. But once you get your Sallie Mae, Fannie Mae business in order, you got to start turning into an alumnus who gives. Now, I'm saying all this to say, because it's really on my heart, I had to go to my class and shake some trees. It wasn't easy, but everybody in my class does love this school. I have some of my class members here. I don't know if they're too embarrassed to say it, but raise your hand if you're here. Mr. Maddox, you're here. There you go, Tracy, Katrina. Y'all know some of my other class members. So we went out there, we shook some trees, and I said, look, we got to bring $5,000 to Alumni Weekend. They said, Lafayette, I'm a Christian, and I don't want to say some things you hear on the phone. I said, say it, but send me up there with $5,000. So I happen to know Miss Candy Cooper, who is in the science department here. I'm a scientist. So it was near and dear to me to see if I can come up with a way to help her with her wish list and to dedicate that $5,000 to the science department, that's the place where I came, only a one-year student, and got my first taste of science from Miss Verna Hill, right, on equipment that wasn't even new. But she put the taste, the seed of science in me here on this campus, and it changed my life. So now I get the opportunity to come back and to dedicate, I'm proud to dedicate $5,000 on behalf of the class of 1983. Now, admittedly, this is about not just giving only money, but your time, your resources, like my cousin Ernie over there. That's also what you got to give. But the problem is, we only measure on that website, we don't measure resources and time. It measures money, right? So I got a little bit of a hidden agenda here. I'm trying to catch the class of 1965. I don't know if we're going to do it, but we're going to try with this $5,000. I'm putting the charge out to all you people with the sweaters on and the watches and the pins and the lifers, and you're not even in my class, but you love this school. Move that needle. Can we hashtag that? Can we hashtag that? Move that, Cecil, can I hashtag that? Move that needle. Because I'm gonna tell you something, if you go on that page, you're not gonna be so proud to be in that class wearing that sweater when you see your class down there at 0. You take that sweater off, okay? But you put on that sweater and wear it proud, but let your money and your dollars reflect your love. Now, when I was here, I'm almost done, Uncle Gus told us when we were here, when you know better, you do what? You do better. Now, you can't claim you don't know because Lafayette from the class of 1983 came up here and told you, right? So you're going to go back and do better. And so the last thing I'm going to say is Candy in the building? She's not in the building? Candy, stand up, please. This money is earmarked specifically for you and the work that you do. And I'm hoping that you can plant that money in a way to turn a kid around who knows nothing about science and send them out of this school a scientist. Okay? Now, the last thing I'm going to say, is listen, give back, wait a minute, this last is give back like the inimitable class. I can say it now because I got $5,000 on the bar. The inimitable class of 1983. God bless you all.
Thank you so much, class of 1983 at Lafayette.
Let there be lights out of the darkness shining. Let there be lights, and the light was good. Sun, moon, and stars out of the darkness shining. And the light was good. And the light was good. Let there be lights out of the darkness shining. Let there be lights, and the light was good. Sun, moon, and stars out of the darkness shining. And the light was good. And the light was good. Shine, shine, shine. Shine, shine, shine. Shine, 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 shine. Shine forevermore. Let there be lights, and the light was good. Let there be lights out of the darkness shining. Let there be lights, and the light was good. Came the star of Jacob rising. There was the scepter out of Israel. There came the star out of Jacob rising. And the star was Jesus, Emmanuel. There came a star out of Jacob rising. There rose a scepter out of Israel. Emmanuel. There came a star out of Jacob rising. There rose a scepter out of Israel. And the morning stars said, let's sing together. And the angels shouted, they shouted for joy. And the morning stars sang, oh yes, they sang together. And the song was good. And the song was good. Let there be lights out of the darkness shining. Let there be lights out of the darkness shining. Let there be lights out of the darkness shining. And the light was
Excuse me. Good evening, everyone. We're going to move quickly into the next phase of our awards program, which is the Pine Forge Academy Music and Fine Arts Hall of Fame. For those of you who have not been here prior to this year, this is our third year honoring those who have excelled in the fine arts or music genre. We have a small committee. I don't mind telling you who's on that committee. George Sampson, Kirk Thompson was on our committee. Jeremy Winston, Crystal Hicks, Charmaine Thurman. We meet via voicemail, conference call, and we come up with some names, and this year we have a very elite group. They just happen to be all male. Hopefully next year it will be all female. This year, our first inductee is Mr. Luther Washington.
Luther Washington II is a gifted musician who is widely known and respected as an outstanding conductor, organist, and music instructor. A product of Seventh-day Adventist Christian education, he is a product of Pine Forge Academy. Mr. David Green, his high school music teacher, poured so much into his musical life and taught him life skills as well. He received his Bachelor of Science degree in music education with an emphasis in piano performance and high school choral music from Oakwood College, now Oakwood University. Another great musical giant in Luther's life was Dr. Alma Black. She further developed his musical skills as a God-fearing teacher who would not accept mediocrity. Luther went on to complete graduate studies in choral conducting from Georgia State University in Atlanta, Georgia. In 1986, Mr. Washington organized the Greater Atlanta Adventist Academy Concert Choir, and for 25 years has served as the school's musical instructor. Later in 1989, he organized the GAAA Chorale. For several years, Mr. Washington has served as conductor and accompanist to a number of choral groups and choirs. He is the recipient of a number of awards. Mr. Washington also serves as principal organist for the Cascade United Methodist Church, as well as minister of music at Berean Seventh-day Adventist Church, both in Atlanta, Georgia. Your 2019 Pine Forge Academy Music Hall of Fame honoree, Luther Washington II.
Our current choir director, Jared Roseborough, is a product of Luther Washington's tutelage. So I'm going to bring Jared forward at this time to say a few short words about his time with Mr. Washington.
I'll simply say this. I have this academy to thank for what Luther Washington sowed into my life. Were it not for his experience here with David Green, and then as he transpired and went to Oakwood, then college, now university, under Alma Blackman, he had an opportunity to be under some phenomenal musicians, and they poured into him, and then he poured into me, and I just must give God the praise, because he is Luther Washington is a man that I don't just consider as a teacher, as a mentor, but for a very crucial time in my life, he was a father to me, and a father figure when I needed one desperately. And so I will always, I tell him all the time that he will just have to get tired of hearing me thank him for what he has sowed into my life. And then he teases me. He says that I'm the reason that he had to come out of retirement, because he's now teaching again down at Greater Atlanta Adventist Academy, and then I'm up here at his alma mater, and so we just have a good time joking about that. But all in all, because of what he sowed into my life, and because how much he invested, I'm living proof of what an investment in these students can be. And it gives me great pleasure, and it is an honor to my life to be able to contribute to these students in the same way that he invested in me. So I must say this, I know you all say I forgive you all the time, but even as a GAAA graduate, I must say that I thank you, Pine Forge Academy, for what you poured into him, because what you poured into him, he poured into me, and now I have the opportunity to pour it into these students here at Pine Forge Academy. So thank you.
Thank you so much for selecting me to be an inductee into the Pine Forge Academy Alumni Association Music Hall of Fame. It is indeed an honor to receive this award and be placed in the distinguished ranks of the past honorees, all who have made significant musical contributions to my beloved alma mater, Pine Forge Academy. I would be remiss if I did not give special thanks to the Pine Forge Academy Alumni Association, the Pine Forge Academy Music Department, and the PFA Alumni Association's Membership Secretary, Tiffany Brissett. Although I cannot be physically there to accept this award, my heart is there with you. Many years ago, as a student at PFA, I sat under the direction of Mr. David Green. It was then that I began to realize what Pine Forge Academy truly means, a place of musical excellence, and where I continued to develop a great love and respect for true music ministry. Your acknowledgement of me this evening confirms that my talents will continue to be used to glorify God. Thank you again.
Our next honoree is from this esteemed class of 1989, Joey Kibble.
Joey Kibble started his life in Buffalo, New York, and his father's ministry pitched him into the culture shock of Tennessee and Alabama. He spent most of his life in and around the South until he left home to finish his last 2 years of high school at Pine Forge Academy, graduating in 1989. While attending Pine Forge Academy, he sung in the choir under the direction of Mrs. Gwen Foster. After attending Pine Forge Academy, Joey went on to Oakwood College, now Oakwood University. While attending Oakwood, he sang with Dynamic Praise and recorded with Madison Mission Mass Choir. His musical career is stellar. Joey joined the award-winning group Take Six in 1991 and has been singing with them since. During his time with Take Six, Joey has written and co-produced several of their most requested songs. His love for writing and performing are part of his soul. Take Six became the darling of the jazz and a cappella world. 4 years in a row, they won Jazz Vocal Group of the Year. They traveled the world and sang to sold-out shows and working with legends like Quincy Jones. Joey feels called to a 7-part ministry made known in songwriting, physical fitness, vocal discipline, speaking, writing books, marriage, and leadership. Joey returned to school to complete his undergraduate degrees at Oakwood University's adult program. Joey recently completed a book called Out of the Desert Flow Rivers. Joey is sharing his journey with the loves of his life, his wife Tina, and his daughters Carly and Aria. Your 2019 Pine Forge Academy Music Hall of Fame honoree, Joey Kibble.
Pine Forge Academy. I am so honored to be given the award that was given by the Pine Forge Academy Music and Arts Hall of Fame. First of all, that's an awesome undertaking that was started a couple of years ago, but I'm honored to even be considered because so many people from my class and the classes before and the classes after are making their mark. So that I could even be considered, I'm very thankful and humbled. Thank you so much. I'm sorry I couldn't be there. Unfortunately, we had some conflicting dates and concerts that we have to do here in New York. Yeah, I know it's kind of close. Anyway, thank you so much. Hope you all have a great celebration on this alumni and have an awesome time, and tell my class I said hello. Love them. Thanks.
Our next inductee is Sean Tillery.
Sean Tillery is a gifted singer, songwriter, and choral director. He began singing and developed a precise ear for music at an early age. At Pine Forge Academy, he was introduced to sacred classical music and began to take vocal lessons. He continued his matriculation at Oakwood University, where he earned his Bachelor of Music degree in vocal performance and pedagogy. Sean studied voice with Dr. Julie Moore Foster and Dr. Angelique Clay, and was a featured soloist in the world-renowned Oakwood University Aliens under the direction of Dr. Lloyd Mallory. While Sean is very gifted in singing classical music, he has a great passion for gospel music. Sean Tillery and Change have been together since 2004. The very first recording endeavor was Joy to the World, an EP that was released in 2011. In 2013, Sean Tillery and Change released The Live Experience, which was their very first live recording. This debut album hit in the top 20 Billboard gospel charts. Sean Tillery and Change have also appeared on BET's Bobby Jones Gospel with gospel legends Kurt Carr and Pastor Shirley Caesar. Currently, Sean Tillery and Change are putting the finishing touches on a new project. The singles I'll Take Jesus and Mighty God are from the forthcoming CD and are available on digital outlets. They just celebrated a couple weeks ago their 15th anniversary. Sean is also a member of the world-famous gospel recording group James Hall and Worship and Praise, where he has been a featured soloist. Your 2019 Pine Forge Academy Music Hall of Fame honoree, Sean Tillery.
I really wish I could be there this weekend to help celebrate with you. But since I can't, I decided I'd send a video and say congratulations on being inducted in the Pine Forge Academy Music Hall of Fame. So proud of you, man. You're doing so many great things in music. And one thing that you represent when it comes to music, and that's excellence. And so I love you, man. Congratulations, and I celebrate with you. God bless.
shall be my shelter. He shall be my shelter. He shall be my shelter. He shall be my shelter. And he shall be my shine. Whom shall I fear?
their director. We have one more, Sean. I want to call forward Professor James Hall from James Hall and Worship and Praise. He came here all the way from New York to support his boy. I don't think y'all know who y'all are. This is the James Hall from James Hall and Worship and Praise. I'm sorry, I'm a fan. I am a fan. God bless you.
My back is hurting from I've been slumped in that seat for a long time. But I didn't want to miss this night. To God be the glory for all the things he has done. And when Mom called me and told me about it, I had a full day, and I would have had on a suit and tie, but the day was just too long, and I switched up, so I'm casual. But I want to thank you. But I wanted to come and celebrate Sean. I call him my twin. I call him my little brother. Sometimes I call him my son. And I'm telling you, he's a blessing. It's amazing when you can be so talented and so gifted and be able to work under somebody else. It's very hard for a lot of people that are talented and gifted. They can't work under somebody else. If they're not leading, they can't be a follower. But Sean is a great blessing to my ministry, James Hall of Worship Praise. He's been with me over 10 years now. And he's amazing. He shared a song with me called King on our last CD. And he's on, he has his own song on this CD that's going to be coming out. What's the name of that song? When We Make It Home. Yes, When We Make It Home. There's a lot of things in my head. But I wanted to be here to celebrate you. You mean the world to me, you know that. And I couldn't let this day go by without coming to celebrate with you. I love you, Sean Tillery.
Sean, you can come forward, please. It is my honor and my privilege to present to you our 2019 Pine Forge Academy Music and Fine Arts Hall of Fame. Thank you.
All right, let me get my notes out here. Wow, I am really surprised. Thank you so much to the Alumni Association, but Richard Smallwood, James Hall, and my own choir came all the way up here. Can we give them a hand one more time? Wow, I really don't take it lightly. I had to write my notes down. But thank you. It's truly an honor to have been chosen for this, because nobody has to recognize what you do. So I'm really grateful, first of all, for you thinking of me to present this award to me. My mom will tell you that I've been pretty much singing my whole life. And however, that natural God-given talent was nurtured right here on these campgrounds. Amen. And then at Oakwood. So I cherish this place for that. And I wouldn't say that I have done so many great things, but what I will say is that I have followed what God has called me to do. And that's what I'm going to say to the students. Where the students at? Raise your hands. I want to say to all the students, before you leave this place and as you go on through whatever is next after you leave this place, ask God what He wants you to do. I'm going to say it again. Ask God what He wants you to do. A lot of times we do things and we're looking for an applause or a pat on the back. But if you don't get those things, you'll probably be disappointed. But there's nothing greater than knowing that God is pleased with what you're doing. Amen? So to those aspiring musicians, I say to you, do it with all your heart. A lot of times the money may not be there, the support may not be there, but you have to find the strength to keep on going. And a lot of times you just see the finished product, but you don't know all the blood, sweat, and tears that an artist has to go through just to get to that point. So I say to you, whatever you do, you have to do it with all your heart to the honor and glory of God. Amen. And I want to leave this with you. E flat, please. You may build great cathedrals, large or small. You may build skyscrapers, grand and tall. You may conquer all the failures of the past, but only what you do for Christ will last. Remember, only what you do for Christ will last. Remember, only what you do for Christ will last. Only what you do for Him will be counted as the end. Only what you do for Christ. Only what you do for Christ. Only what you do for Christ will last. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay, for our last honoree. Whew. I didn't want to do this. Our last honoree, he passed away shortly after Alumni last year. And he was my pastor while I was here as a student. He was my class sponsor and my friend as an adult. And he served with me on the music committee. In our last conversation, he said, "Tiffany, you don't need me on this committee. You've got it. You don't need me." And I said, "But Pastor T, I do. I value your opinion." And he said, "No, I'm going to bow out. Just find somebody else to replace me." And I said, "Are you sure?" And I didn't know that would be the last time I spoke to him, and that was in April of last year. So this is personal for me. And I have to honor my class sponsor, my history teacher, my pastor. While I was here, Pastor Kirk Uriah Thompson.
Kirk Uriah Thompson was born in Fort Meade, Maryland, and spent most of his formative years in the city of Baltimore. Kirk began his education in the Baltimore public schools and then later transferred to Baltimore Junior Academy. From there, he arrived at Pine Forge Academy his sophomore year. Kirk certainly had a great singing voice, a gift he inherited from his mother. Upon his enrollment at Pine Forge Academy, Kirk decided to expand his musical wings. He joined the Academy Choir, a male chorus, a student chorale, and for good measure, the school band. In his junior year, he began to sing lead tenor in his newly formed quartet, partnering with his classmates, Thaddeus Jackson, Lamont Parker, and Stephen Richardson. They became known as the Academy Four. Graduating from Pine Forge in 1976, Kirk matriculated to Oakwood College, now Oakwood University, to pursue his degree in music. He and his friends eagerly auditioned for the school's renowned traveling choir, the Aeolians, under the direction of Dr. Alma Blackman. In the summer of 1977, the quartet teamed with Elder William Scales Jr. and Luther Palmer for a major evangelism campaign in Baltimore, Maryland. The campaign's title was Step Up to Happiness, which made the quartet's name change to the Step Up to Happiness Quartet. Elder E.E. Cleveland declared the call of ministry on Kirk's life, and although he resisted, he was convicted and returned with a degree in theology from Oakwood. The Allegheny East Conference sponsored him to Andrews University to attend seminary. He spent many years pastoring in Pennsylvania, New Jersey, and Washington, D.C. Kirk also spent time here at his alma mater as pastor of the Pine Forge SDA Church, history teacher, and class sponsor of the class in 1995 with Julie Kittle. In 2007, he married Ruth Ann Mosby. Because of his declining health, Kirk had to go on permanent medical leave, and the couple moved to Columbus, Ohio. Kirk was one of the founding committee members for the Pine Forge Academy Music Hall of Fame. He recorded his first solo project entitled I'm Still Here. Kirk took his rest on October 18, 2018. He is survived by his wife Ruth Ann, 2 sons Jordan and Jason, and several grandchildren and other relatives. Your 2019 Pine Forge Academy Music Hall of Fame honoree, Kirk Uriah Thompson.
At this time, I'm going to call forward Pastor Steve Richardson, who was one of his best friends in life, to come in his own way with his tribute.
I'm going to ask my family to come forward and join me. I first met Kirk right on this campus in the fall of 1972, laughing as usual. And we started a bond here that lasted over 40 years. I'm not going to try to vocalize any more about his life. Those of you who knew him had to love him. And in honor of his memory, I was asked to put forth a quartet song. We're going to do one of the old ones, one of the first ones we learned. And I pray that it'll be an inspiration to you.
Test.
1, 2, 1, 2, test. Testing, testing. Lord, I cried and I cried. Hallelujah, Lord, I cried all night long. And now I cried and I cried until I found the Lord. My soul just couldn't be just my soul. Just my soul, my Lord. Oh, until I found the Lord, my soul just couldn't be just my soul, just my soul, my Lord. Oh, until I found the Lord. Then, Lord, I prayed and I prayed. just my soul, just my soul, my Lord, Lord. Oh, until I found the Lord, my soul just could be, just my soul, just my soul, my Lord, Lord. Oh, until I found the Lord. Then, Lord, I moaned and I moaned. Moaned and I moaned until I found the Lord. My soul just could be, just my soul, just my soul, to my Lord, Lord. Oh, until I found the Lord, my soul just could be, just my soul, to my Lord, just my soul, to my Lord, Lord. Oh, until I found the Lord, until I found the Lord, until I found the Lord, until I found the Lord.
What a beautiful program. Thank you so much, Richardson family. So as we continue to close, there's one more thing that we need to do, and it's not an award at all. I think today, if we had to sum it up in thought, would be redemption. I heard this morning Dr. Anderson, who's an illustrious doctor in DC, say that he got kicked out, and then he became an illustrious doctor. I heard Joe McKenzie say that he got kicked out everywhere, but here. And he went on to be an illustrious attorney. And so in 2013, we gave a gentleman the Community Service Award. And so I thought this year it's not even enough to give him the Community Service Award for all that he has done for men and women and boys and girls around the world. This gentleman deserves something more personal, more special, more thoughtful than just an award seeing what he has done. And that is, we graduated in 1994, but this young man, for some reason or another, we can probably talk about it, but maybe after, why he didn't come back his senior year. He didn't graduate with us then, but we want to call the headmaster, the business manager, if Mr. Fielder is here, because we want to do something even more special for him. Class of 94, I want to ask that you all would come down. We want to give this young man a diploma from Pine Forge Academy, an honorary diploma. I want to call up Andre McDonald for the work he's doing for men and women, boys and girls around the world. So as is official, I'm going to ask that that new headmaster would read his diploma and hand it to him.
The Board of Trustees, by virtue of authority granted by the state of Pennsylvania and the recommendation of the faculty, has awarded to Andre McDonald this honorary diploma, certifying satisfactory completion of the prescribed high school course of study given at Pine Forge, Pennsylvania, United States of America. We, by this day, give you this diploma.
AKA Tippy. Amen.
So a video is about to play about something that he did around the world. I'm not sure. You can play it out.
That's right. Yes. That's all right, too. Awesome. Whew. That's right on track. Yes.
Hello, everybody. My name is Andre McDonald. I'm a class in 1994. I went to this school for 3 years. I'm from Brooklyn, New York. Matter of fact, there we go. Let me speak to y'all. I went here for 3 years. When I went here, it cost $7,000 a year to go here. I went here for 3 years and I didn't do no work. My senior year, I was packing my bags to come back here to be a 4-year senior. And Miss Cargill, God bless Miss Cargill where you are, she told my mom, Betty, I wouldn't let him come back. And my mom was like, why not? She's like, he ain't doing no work. No matter what he does his senior year, he can get straight A's, but he can't graduate from here. Listen to what I'm saying. I ended up going to a school upstate New York, 10 black people and 300 whites. I was supposed to be the star point guard at that school, but when I went to the guidance counselor, my coach and guidance counselor was together. They was like, you can't play no ball this year. I'm like, why? I'm the guy here. I'm the one. They was like, because you went to that school in Pennsylvania and you have religion credits. We don't take religion credits here. So the only way you can graduate from high school is to take day and night class. I had to take classes Monday, Wednesday, and Friday just to graduate. From that day that I found out that I couldn't play basketball to 5 years ago when I came here, I never entered a church. I was mad at God for the decisions that I made. So not speaking to these people, I'm speaking to the students. While you here, do your work. Listen. Do your work. If I could give my arm back, my leg back to come back here and to do my work and to graduate from here, I'd do anything. While I was here, there was like 5 teachers. The Johnson family, the Cargill family, Mr. Fielder, Mr. Beck, Miss Hope, just a bunch of teachers who didn't give up on me. I never wanted to come back to this school again. And 5 years ago, they called me back and they said, would you come back? I said, I don't have any reason to come back there. Some of you may be here now and feel that you don't got no reason to be here now. But yo, Just do your work, enjoy. There ain't nothing at home. Whatever's at home is gonna be there. While you here, do your work. The flyest thing in the world, you wanna be fly? The flyest thing is graduation day, having all those medals around your neck. That's fly. Not how you could play ball or how cute you are or all the girls like you or all the boys like you. Do your work, man, while you're here. And it costs even more to be here. So, yo, just make your family proud. Make these people here proud. Me, I gave my life now to help other people. You know what I'm saying? That's what I do. I walk around this earth and I make sure that less fortunate people have good sneakers on their feet. And I'm proud to say that I'm from Pine Forge Academy, and I'm proud of what I'm doing in the community. Please, y'all, while you're here, don't be me while you're here. Do your work. That's the only advice that I'm going to give the students. You know, I'm here. Every student that you saw me today, when you was like, yo, what's up with this guy? Why is he coming saying hello to us? Why? Because when I was here, I didn't have no alumni to come and say what's up to me. So I want to be different to y'all. You know what I'm saying? Just do your work. I'm super excited. This means a lot to me. This means a lot to me. And I'm just so appreciative. Thank you so much, everybody. Thank you. Thank you.
Utilizing our resources that we have in the States to make sure that kids are walking more comfortable. Columbia, All Access Columbia, thank you so much, man, for being the shoulder.
That was in Colombia, South America. Now, I believe in supporting our own, and he is still, so when I called him and asked him to come, or he was coming anyway, but he had just got a job with a new company that is supporting him and supporting his work and sponsoring him and that kind of thing. But he just got it, so they didn't want to give him the time off. And so we sent a letter in, and somehow it worked out that he got the time off. But I'd also whispered in his ear, trying to keep all the secret, that you should bring your mother and daughter here. And so they couldn't make it. But Andre, we want to, before I say that, we want to support our own. And so because he's still working, I told him this weekend, you had to think bigger. So now you give hundreds of shoes away. But I think if you could do 100,000 shoes or 1,000,000 shoes, I always try to think bigger as possible. And so instead of going to a job, this should be your full-time ministry. And so I want you guys to support him, and I want him to tell how you all and all of us can support his ministry.
Thank you. Well, It's From the Soul is now a nonprofit organization. What we do, we take your children, nieces, nephews, godkids. We teach your children how to help the less fortunate by giving them sneakers. Domestically and internationally, we have traveled to 9 countries and 26 cities around America. In 7 years, we have given more now than certified 30,000 sneakers with the help of that man right there. And this is my mission in life. I'm tired of seeing less fortunate. We take Pine Forge students off the campus and take them to shelters. Teach them how to help the less fortunate around Pennsylvania. You know, it's sad to say I know what it is to be in those dorms, and sometimes you complain. We take your children and show them people who are doing worse than them. We take them and show them people who are eating, they complaining about the cat food. We take them to people who the cat food would be a 5-star restaurant to them. And that's what It's From the Soul is. It means from the soul of your heart to the sole of their feet. And this is my mission now. If I told you this is what I always want to do, I'll be lying to you. But now this is the mission. It's called It's From the Soul. We have a website, social media, anything. Please, we are taking this sneaker culture that these kids going crazy for. You step on a kid's one of their sneakers right now, you see what they'll say to you. But we're taking the sneaker culture and we give the people who need it and not the people who want it. It's from the soul. Thank you so much again, everybody. You don't know what this means. The website is www.itsfromthesoul.org. Soul is S-O-L-E. And this is one of the most beautiful days to have this. And I could keep this mic all night. But thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you. Let's give him a hand. Thank you so much. Everybody's behind him. So with that, we're going to call up the choir for the final selection, and we will close. Thank you so much for your patience tonight.
So I know the sun is set, but I wonder if you all would just have a little family worship with us. It says, there's a sweet, sweet spirit in this place, and I that is there are sweet expressions on each face. And I know come on, family, just sing with us. So, sweet Holy Spirit, such sweet heavenly dove, stay, filling those said, and for these blessings we lift without
Let us bow our heads. Dear Heavenly Father, we've gathered in your holy sanctuary this evening, and we've enjoyed and felt your presence. We've laughed, we've cried, but most importantly, Lord, we've loved. We thank you for the love that you've shown us by dying on the cross. We thank you for the love of our classmates and our friends and the anointing Holy Spirit that you provided us when we were here at Pine Forge Academy and wherever we go. Lord, as we leave this place, we ask that your Spirit will continue to abide with us. Let us continue to understand that we've come from a place where excellence is no accident. And Father, Lord, that we have something that the world needs. We have a light that the world needs, and let us never stop shining that light. Lord, guide us and protect us as we leave this place. Let everyone say, amen, amen.
Quick announcement before you go. In the gymnasium tonight is the basketball game. It's going to be really special. We're streaming it live on YouTube and Facebook Live. It's a whole production. Plus, there will be a pop-up shop with Pine Forge gear, hoodies, t-shirts, and the like. So take your monies to the gym, get your Pine Forge Academy pride hoodies and t-shirts. All of the proceeds will go back to the Alumni Association, which in turn will help the school. Thank you. Oh, and be at the business meeting tomorrow morning. Amen. 9 o'clock. Don't just sleep in. Come over to the conference office in the morning. A light breakfast will be served. So skip the hotel breakfast. Come on over. We'll feed you a little something. And be invested in the business of your school. Amen. Can the class of 94 please come to the stage for a class picture? That includes their new graduate, Andre McDonald. Will the class of 79 please come to the front of the sanctuary? Thank you. Okay.